Okay, this is a 10-inch cobalt sliding miter saw. And as you can see, these two pieces right here are just busted up. There's pieces missing back here, pieces missing right here. This piece right here is broke. It was just completely destroyed. And I looked around to see if I could find one, and I couldn't find one. So I took these off, and I took some masking tape and took the fence off, took this masking tape and put it on there and taped it down. And then I just got me a piece of charcoal right here on the floor. There's a piece I threw down, and I rubbed it with my finger. And I went around this and made a rubbing where I could make it a little bit darker on the line. And then I just laid my razor blade right in that crack and went all the way around it and cut it out. And then I peeled it out of there and laid it on this piece of plywood that I had, just a scrap piece of plywood. It's this piece right here. It's just a scrap piece. And I cut it out with my jigsaw, and then I took my little belt sander here. Shoot, I bought that thing back in about 95. Actually, I didn't buy it. I traded a couple of chairs that I made for it. And then after I did that, I marked all 6 of my screw holes and drilled those. And then I didn't have a countersink bit. So I just took me a little bit bigger drill bit than I had and ran it backwards and countersunk them. Put the screws back in, and I had got longer screws so I would be able to keep more of the meat of the board, the thickness of the board in there. And I had the fence off. Well, I went to put the fence back on, and I couldn't get it lined up, so I put me a square on this side, like this, right on that line, right there, just like that. And then I put me a square on this side. Let me turn it around here. I put me a square on this side, like this, and I kept on moving the fence around until I finally got what I thought was straight. And it comes to a bit of a point right here. Let me slide it up this way a little bit more. And I don't know if that's the way it's supposed to be or not, but see, it's touching here and it's touching here, and I adjusted it, and that's as close as I could get it. And anyways, I'm gonna go on YouTube here in a second and see if I did that right or not, because it just doesn't seem right. It seems like it should be straight, but I don't know. It comes to a point, so I guess it is semi-straight. And I just made me a cut with this board right here and checked it with the square, and it's square. So it works great. And I noticed the other day when I went to use it, if you pushed it all the way forward like this and you grabbed hold of it and you twisted it a little bit, it was torquing. But this side over here has a whole bunch of bearings inside of it in a sleeve. And then this side over here has a bushing here, a bushing down here, and a bushing here, and a bushing down here. And I took this screw and this screw right here out, and this one was actually just floating around in there. As you can see, it wasn't even touching right here. It wasn't even touching back here. And it just barely was touching. It would just float around. So I got me an Allen wrench and tightened this one up until it was just starting to get snug. And did the same thing with the front one, and I got all that play out. So that helped a whole lot. And I went ahead, while I had these dust covers off, I went ahead and put a little bit of oil in there. And I noticed that there's a wiper right here, but it's not doing any good. It's sitting back here. I don't know why it's not attached there. And I never looked to see if there was one up here. I don't see one up here. But I did that, and I got my fence as straight as I can. And then these rigids, I had them on here, but they were setting crooked, and they never really locked properly. And so I got me this big old thick piece of plywood and mounted it to the rigid, and then I mounted these bolts, these 4 bolts, to the plywood to give it a nice secure base. And now I can take it on and off real easy. But before it was always a fight because it was crooked, and it comes on and off real easy now. I've had this saw probably 17 or 18 years. I've had it for a really long time, and it's been a really good saw. I've used it in the beginning. I used it a lot because I was trimming out some houses with new baseboards and door jambs and things like that. And then of course I just got through doing all the work on my cabin, and I was using it a whole lot. And I wasn't happy with the cuts that I was getting, but I was in such a big hurry, I didn't mess with it like I should have. And I got it home now, and I decided I was gonna work on it. Now this is my next problem. So I've got it setting on 0, but I was messing with it. But watch, I'm gonna crank this handle right here. Not a whole lot, just crank it a little bit. I'm gonna tighten it up, and it'll pull it sideways. See that? And I didn't push it, it pulled it. Watch, let's see if I can do it like this. It pushes it. And when you take it and lock it into different sections that it has, it's hard. I need to oil it or something. It doesn't want to always lock in the right spot. And then when you tighten it up just a little bit, it wants to move. Now that I moved it, you know, I don't know if it's square or not. Every time I go to make a straight cut this thing, I have to check it, because sometimes it is and sometimes it isn't. It's strange. So I am gonna oil that thing. It's kind of oil it. It's kind of turned there. Okay, I just let it slide to the locking point. I'm going to throw this up here and set it right on that line. That's better than it's been. Right there. And see, it's off there. So I'm gonna move that back a little bit. Or maybe I just should, every time I move it, I guess probably should check it just to be on the safe side. As you know, I was showing you guys, I've got all this wood over here drying. I just was using my extension cord, so I've got it unplugged right now. But I've got all this wood over here drying, and it's gonna be a little while. Tomorrow I am gonna rip some stuff up, because I think the smaller pieces, and I know what size I need, I'll cut them about a 1/2 inch, maybe even 1 inch too big. And I'll go, that way they can be drying faster, because if I can get the base built, that'd be the hardest part, and then I can go to work on the rest of it when it gets dry. Yeah, it's it's 8:30 at night, and I've been out here since, I don't know, 3 o'clock working on this thing, trying to get it all squared up. I went inside and eat when my wife got home from work. But anyways, I just thought I'd make a quick little video and show you guys what I was doing. It's kind of, when you don't know what you're doing, it's kind of frustrating, but I think I figured everything out. But I'm gonna go check on this and see if I squared this properly, and maybe somebody can give me some hints about this. I looked at it, it's just a blunt nose that hits this piece of steel right here. You can see the scratches from that thing being sliding back and forth across it. So we'll see what happens. Thanks for checking in, guys. I appreciate it.